now code red for humanity, and this is no longer a question. And we need to act now if we're going to have any chance of halving emissions by 2030 and reaching net zero by 2050.
We need to understand if we want to be leaders or followers. Competitiveness and sustainability, they need to go hand in hand. Many companies, although they declare that they need to be more sustainable, they struggle in understanding how they can plan in a real practical way the plan towards sustainability.
Companies, they're on the front line of this battle, right? So to cut emissions, it's just a must that they need to engage their suppliers, who are often responsible for the vast majority of their carbon footprints. The question here is actually, how do they do that, right?
The first thing that you need to do is to be able to measure where you are and try to understand where you want to be. Measuring the current situation and setting targets is extremely important.
Buyers are really essential in the net zero journey, as they can really provide that impetus to get started by building emissions reductions into business as usual practices, and then after that, asking the questions to guide suppliers to take action. What's clear here is we can't have suppliers running away from this. And buyers, of course, can't threaten to just switch suppliers. That can be an incredibly powerful tool, but I think it's more effective to work with your suppliers, encouraging them in their pursuit of their targets and collaborating on solutions, using that power of your spend. Ask your suppliers to set their own science-based targets and emulate your own practice of good science-based target setting, which will in turn oblige them to look into their own hotspots across their own value chains and cut impacts.
98% of our total carbon footprint is in our Scope 3 emissions, which is huge. And many of them are based on life cycle. The largest one is the use of our products by our customers. So you can see the value chain is really, really key and important to us. Our Scope 1 and 2 emissions, just our direct ones, are controllable. Scope 3 emissions, which is our vehicles, is based on an intensity. So the more we can, shift from internal combustion engine vehicles to electric vehicles, that really, really helps this helps us meet our science-based target.
Similar to General Motors, maybe a little different scope. Our Scope 3 emissions are well outweighed by our internal Scope 1 and 2 emission categories. The methods of data collection and the efficiency of that process is incredibly important. And so the first action we've really taken to achieve carbon neutrality is partnering with Enel X to implement utility bill management programs throughout our global operations to centralize the way that we collect data so that we can become more proactive at using it and analyzing it for decision making. I completely agree that this is not achievable without a strong renewable energy procurement strategy. And for us at Carrier, it's looking at every energy opportunity, for retail contracts to on-site generation to off-site PPAs, of how do we broaden the impact that we can make on the grid.